Welcome to episode 10. No, it's too much. It's too much. Either way, we're at episode 10. Welcome back. It's been a while, but we're back like we never left. It's cool. I was just setting y'all up for change. You see, the last episode was about change and embracing change, and boy, have things changed. But it's okay. All things work together for the good, and I'm thankful. So I'm just wanting to thank everyone for listening to my podcast. Even if you listened to the last episodes, I'm thankful. So we're going to try to jump back into things. This episode has been on my heart for months. Months. And normally I'm obedient. I really try to be obedient because I know how persistent God is. Like, listen, I done told you. So I was disobedient, but I'm here and I got it. So this episode, we are going to be covering grace. Yeah. So you can run if you want, but if not, just take a seat. We're just going to get into some things and I'm going to be out your way and that's it. But it has really been on my heart. Grace is just a very important thing to me. I feel like it's a really important subject to talk about. I don't think a lot of people acknowledge it as much as they should, honestly, me included. So look, I'm not excluding myself, me included, but we'll just jump into it. So, I normally start off with like, what is the definition of, or what does it mean to me? Or, where I feel like grace can easily, there's just so many. I mean, when you say grace, it's like, okay, I say grace when I'm eating my food, or I gracefully walked in. We're not really talking about that. So that's all fine and dandy. But the grace that we're talking about is giving someone grace or giving yourself grace. So it's almost like you're giving favor, to someone, or you are treating someone in a manner that they may not have. Ooh, what's the word? I want to make sure I say the right word, that they may not have been warranted. So we'll just say it like that. So warranted means you don't think that they should have gotten treated that way. You should have treated them like they treated you. Or if I'm giving myself grace, if I did something, I'm like really, really hard on myself, I shouldn't even be as happy as I am because I knew I shouldn't have done. It's so easy to not give yourself grace. I mean, this is like multiple times a day. It's multiple times a day. So you could think a lot of times when you hear grace, it's like, oh, you need to give them grace, or you need to give, but most importantly, you need to give yourself grace. So, and that's what I've learned. And I am here to say, and I'll be very honest, it took years, decades for me to give myself grace. And I will be honest and say that I'm still day to day working on that. I'm not beating myself up. I might beat myself up for a second and then like, hey, relax, give yourself grace. You've done this, you've done that, you've tried, it's just not much else that can be done. And I feel like when we as humans want to give ourselves grace, it's almost like, okay, you're being weak. Like, no, it's not being weak. It's just being realistic. Like people are going to make mistakes. You are going to make mistakes. Everything is not going to be perfect. So I said all that to say, yeah, so that's my definition of grace. But y'all know I wrote my notes down. So in other words, let's see. So extending forgiveness, blessing, or acceptance to someone who doesn't deserve it. That's the word, undeserving. That's what I was trying to get to. And that someone could be you or someone. So just keep that in mind. All right. And so, I think that it's important for me. I think it's important for everyone, but it's important for me, and I'll speak for myself. I always speak for myself, that this is kind of like at the forefront of my mental health, right? So a lot of things stem from your mental, how you go about your day, how you treat people, how your moods are. It's not as easy as it sounds. I think that it is overlooked. I think that it is not given out enough, and it should be done more often. And I'm talking to myself. I don't want anybody, like, along this episode, don't ever think that I'm like talking to you and trying to call you out. No, I'm talking to me too, okay? Talking to me too. Even dealing with, my walk with God. I have to give myself grace, because there are things where it looked a certain way. I wanted it to look that way, and this is how I knew it was going to be, and God was like, "No, I didn't see that for you. I don't That's not what we're going to be doing here. So, let me just go ahead and take that back from you. I appreciate you, love you." And I was angry. I was hurt. I didn't understand, but one thing I didn't do is stay angry at God. And then even in that, I gave myself grace with that too, because I'm human. So I'm gonna feel that, but I didn't stay there. And I had to realize God has bigger things, better things, different things than what I may have seen or wanted in my life. So yeah, we'll get into that like down the road. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But what does grace include? So when you're like talking about giving people grace, like, what does that mean? So you're just letting people do whatever? You letting them treat you however they want to treat you? Absolutely not. That is not. And don't mistake that. Some people will be like, "Oh, I'm giving them grace." Baby, they just emptied your bank account, beat you up, kicked you down, threw you on the highway. I mean, seriously, the list never ends. That is not giving somebody grace. That is, what is the word? That is ignoring and lacking accountability on that part. You're not gonna mistreating someone physically or mistreating them, or whatever the case may be. That's not giving, and then allowing it to happen. That's not giving grace. Now, giving grace would be understanding that there may be room for growth in that person's life. Now, when you're giving them grace, does that mean that you have to sit there and hold their hand while they're, taking those steps, or even thinking about taking those steps? Absolutely not. That's a big part of giving grace, because I don't have to sit here with you. I appreciate where you're at. And even if they haven't taken accountability, or even if they're not saying, "Hey, I need the help," or "This is what I need to do. I know I shouldn't have done that." It's still okay for you to say, "I really appreciate that. However, I'm going to choose me over that." And possibly, maybe moving forward, we can meet in the middle somewhere, or we can meet, and be on the same level, to where I don't feel like you're beating me down, or I don't feel like, we're just not a good match. And when I'm saying match, I'm talking about like friends, relatives, relationship, like all types of ships, family member, all of that. All of that is included. So let's not mistake giving grace for being naive. I'll say that again. Talking to myself, okay? And so it also allows you do want to allow room for mistakes, right? Now, that is hard for me, because I just feel like you treat people the way that you want to be treated off rip. I feel like you know what you want in life, you know how you want to be treated in life, you know what you want surrounding you in life. And so if a person doesn't like, or they're showing you that that's not what it's going to look like, I mean, my hand is on the knob, like the door's not open, but it's on the knob. So I'm working on that. I really am. Because the problem is that before, baby, the door was closed. I wasn't going nowhere. The door was closed. I was sealed in. I was like, "Oh yeah, they doing it again. Okay, well, I'll just, I'll stay. This is what it is, absolutely not." So now I'm like, the light is green. I mean, excuse me, the light is yellow. It's about to turn red. I know it's about to turn red, and I've seen it turn red multiple times, but I'm just going to ignore the fact that I've never seen it go from yellow to green. We've never seen that. It's gone from yellow to red, okay? So the red flag, yes, it is red, and it's blinking in your face. It's red. So we're not ignoring red flags either when you give grace, okay? So, and again, I'm talking to myself, but I think that it is a hard thing to do. I think that it's one of those things that if a lot more people did it, I think that communication would be a lot better. Communication would be a lot better. I think that there would be a lot more relationships with more understanding, and more work towards a better understanding instead of, closed doors and ignore texts and blocked phone numbers. Again, I'm working on it. So yeah, we're just going to leave that there. Now, a few things that grace also is not is we're not, like I said, we're not excusing toxic behavior. We're not doing that. So you don't get to just, lose your mind and be like, hey, remember that grace that, I had asked you for? Can you go ahead and I'll give you the grace, but I'm leaving as well. So it's not, we're not doing that. Accountability. We're not ignoring accountability. Accountability needs to be taken. It doesn't matter how small it is. Take accountability. And it's okay to ask someone to take accountability. We're adults here. Even with children, have your kids take accountability. Like, if you did it, say you did it. Why is that? I mean, it's not even, I don't know. I'm not really sure like why that's a thing. And this is coming from me today. Now, did I used to lie back in the day? Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like everybody's told a white lie every now and again. Now, my lies weren't white. They were clear. But I've changed. I've changed. I see things differently. And that's okay. Don't hold it against me because that was how I used to live my life years ago. It is what it is. That's not how I'm raising my child now. Never, actually. Even if I was lying, I never would raise my kid to do that. And to be accountable. I think being accountable is so important, and it speaks to your character as well. If you did it, you did it. If you messed up or you made a mistake, own it, because you're going to have to grow from it or learn from it anyway. So if somebody is there to try to help you, or somebody is there, saying like, hey, I see that you struggle with this, did you do it again, or did you come up short this time? And you're like, no, I'm good. I'm great. I am perfect. You're lying to yourself, and then you're lying to someone else that cares about you. So that doesn't make sense in itself. And there's no way that there's going to be room for growth if you're ignoring or not taking accountability of what's truly going on in front of you. Essentially, you're living a lie. And so, yeah, there's that. But I think that it is possible to have boundaries. I think it's possible to have relationships where you are giving grace continuously. Does that mean that you are being used, or does that mean that you are being taken advantage of? It's almost up for you to decide that. Someone else can't decide that for you, even from the outside looking in, even sometimes from the inside looking in. They can't decide that for you. You have to, because that's between you and God. If that's the relationship that you have. Me, that is between me and God. So if I'm having a situation and I'm like, golly, I keep and keep and keep, how many times do I have to be the bigger person? How many times do I have to, say, oh, it's okay that you hurt me this time, or it's okay, I know that you didn't mean it. They did, though. And that's the problem. They did mean to hurt me. And if they say that they didn't mean it, we're all aware of the actions that we take. So even still, I don't know. I'll have to circle back with that one. But either way, set the boundaries, give grace. I think that it's important to do so. And I'm working on that as well. Now, when it comes to, that's people, that's your family members and friends and associates and spouses and partners and all of that. That's other people. So, to make those relationships work. Now, as far as me, when it comes to me personally, I am super hard on myself. And unfortunately, I'm super hard on a lot of people around me as well. So I expect me out of people. When it comes to me, I am extremely hard on myself. So me giving myself grace, yeah, I mean, I'm getting better at it day by day, but there are definitely times where I'm at a point, where I wake up, I'm in pain, and I'm like, oh God, I should have did this last night. I know I should have I know, but then it's like, I'm going to give myself grace because what I should have done was not pleasing, or it was uncomfortable, or it was hurting me. And so as a human, I chose not to do it because in that moment I didn't want to feel the pain. So I will give myself grace in that. Now, where it backfires is that I should have done it because I wouldn't be in this pain, this different kind of pain today. So it's like a thin line there. And I feel like you have to be able to decipher and you have to be able to see through it. Now, I personally have been married a few times. I've been divorced a few times. I have to give myself grace on that because a marriage is two people. So where, when I got divorced, I'm blaming myself and I'm kicking myself literally when I'm down and I should have done this or I should have done that. Oh man, I should have seen the signs, or I knew that I should, we should have just not got, all the things. But again, God will only let you get but so far, right? So he may let you get married. He may let you get married again. He may let you have that baby. He may let you do as much as he wants you to do. But as soon as he's like, now listen, now you just doing stuff, he is absolutely gonna yank you up out of that. And that's what he did. So I'm a firm believer. And I'm not just talking about marriages. I'm talking about anything. Anything. Even with the military. I was yanked out of the military. Now, did I want to leave the military? I had my days. I probably talked big mess like, I'm sick of this. I'm ready to go, da da da. But I probably wouldn't have left on my own. That's the thing. I most likely wouldn't have left on my own. So, I had to go, not on my own. And that was God. So, my careers, my jobs, my everything, this is why this podcast is called It Had to Happen, because a lot of these things did have to happen. A lot of them had to happen. And am I happy about how some of them happened? Absolutely not. Am I okay with it now? Absolutely. Because I gave myself grace. I gave myself grace knowing like, okay, you tried your best, or you literally were just being a good person. How can you get upset at yourself for being a good person? That's on the other party to deal with. They have to answer to somebody, not me. It's not where, it's you keep getting pushed down or you keep getting, that doesn't mean stop. It doesn't mean stop pushing. That's not what that means. It just means that I'm not going to keep kicking myself, even if I'm still down, right? Because I know that I still have room to grow. I know that there's so much more in store, and I just have to keep going. That's what I mean when I say give yourself grace. It's not going to look perfect. It's not going to look like you got it all figured out today, tomorrow, next month, next year. Like, it may not look like that. But the fact that you're still going and not giving up, that's really all you need. That's all you need. That's all your kids need to see. That's all your friends need to see. Your partner, that's all that they need to see. Because the moment you're like, I can't do this, don't get me wrong. Whatever you believe in, me, I've had that talk with God before. I've had that. Hey, listen, I don't have it in me anymore. Oh, yeah? You think that you finna just get up out of here? Yeah, no, we're not doing that, okay? And then find you some friends that say the same thing. Get you somebody that, yeah, no, we're not doing that today. Anyway, what did you want to go get something to eat? Like, get you some friends like that. Because, no. Get you some friends that when you tell them, I shouldn't have done that, they're like, give yourself some grace. I have a really good person in my life, and she would always say, give yourself grace. Do you know what you've been through? And I'd be like, yeah, but there's no but. Do you know what you have been through? Give yourself grace. That's it. However, giving yourself grace or giving someone grace should never cost you your peace. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. It should never cost you your peace of mind. It should never cost you that. So if you find yourself giving yourself grace or giving someone else grace, and you're literally losing your mind, or you're just not at peace, you got to give something. You got to give something. Something's got to give. You got to let go of something. You got to reevaluate, go back to the drawing board. Like, okay, because when I say I'm at peace, yeah, life is happening. Life is going. It is what it is. There's a few fires, So, like, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm giving myself grace. I'm taking it a day at a time, most times a minute at a time. And I know that I will be okay. And I'm like the kind of person, I can give the best advice ever. Okay? I can give the best advice ever. Now, me taking my own advice, I don't know about that. That might be taking it too far. However, when I do choose to really, really, really dive in, and I don't even know if there's much more room, because the peace that I have right now, there are certain things that have taken place, and in the moment, I don't even think I cried. That doesn't mean I'm numb. That doesn't mean that I have no emotions. That doesn't mean that I'm not feeling. I felt it. I felt it eventually. But what I knew at that moment is that God had me. What I knew in that moment is that, all right, this is when you give yourself grace. This is the time. Excuse me. Excuse me. This is the time. So, yeah, sometimes you might have to wait for somebody to be like, hey, give yourself grace, like, relax. But when you get to the point where you're literally able to just tell yourself, like, this is that time. Remember we talked about it? This is that time where you're supposed to give yourself grace and just relax. Just let it happen. Just let it be what it's going to be. There's no other feeling. There's no better feeling. And it's not, no one can teach you how to do that. That's something that you truly have to find in yourself. And it may take some time, because I am years old and I'm just now finding it. And that's okay. That's okay. There's no timeline. There's no like, hey, you need to be able to give yourself grace by 30. Who said that? Nobody said that. No one said that. Nobody even said you have to be able to give yourself grace by 4 or however old. There's no rule book to any of this. It's just we are all just trying to survive. We're all just trying to survive. And that's it. I feel like I had another note. Hold on a sec. I feel like I had another note. Okay. Yeah, so pretty much to sum this whole thing up, I think that we've talked about what grace is. We've talked about giving other people grace. We've talked about giving yourself grace, what that looks like, how hard it can be sometimes, because it is not easy. Even if you have to cry it out, cry it out, cry it out, cry out to God, cry out just because, scream, put the music on, turn the shower on and scream, baby. So what? Who cares? You're getting it out. It's not a big deal. More people do it. More people than you think do it more often than you think. I promise you. And it's not a big deal. It is okay. It is okay to be vulnerable. It is okay, even if you're not vulnerable in front of people. That's why people do it in the shower. I cry all the time. So, does that make me weak? No, it makes me woke. I am woke. I know how I feel. I know how I'm feeling. I know how I want to feel. That's where I'm at. So whenever I like do these episodes and things, I always just hope it touches at least one person and reminds a person that it's not perfect. We are not perfect. As humans, we're not perfect. We're not supposed to be perfect. We are sinners. So just taking a minute at a time, give yourself grace. Give that person grace, because they may need it more than you know. And when you give someone grace, don't take it back. Well, I'm gonna give you grace today, but tomorrow I don't know. Just give them that grace, because that could be you. It could be you one day. You might could be me. I might be on a straight and narrow, and I kind of veer off, and now I'm asking somebody to give me grace because of how I treated them or how I acted towards them, or I I didn't ask for grace the other day, but I did have to apologize for how I acted. And so, all in all, I think that we're going to be okay. I think that everything will work out, even if it doesn't look like it today, even if it doesn't look like next week. There's signs. They may be like this small, but the signs are there. And you just have to pay attention to them and just pray about it. Just pray about it. Even because my prayers don't be sounding like, they don't sound like the prayers that you be hearing. No, it'd be like, yeah, God, what's going on with this? Because I remember we talked about this, and I just want to let you know that I didn't forget. And I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on my part, and I just want to make sure that we on the same page. But please give me the strength and the patience. Okay? That's enough in itself. The strength and the patience, okay? Because patience goes a long way. And the strength, because you never know what you're going to need strength for. You never know. You might need the strength to get out the bed. Hello. I do daily. You may need the strength to not cuss somebody out. Strength comes in different forms. So just pray about it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I appreciate everything that you guys have done, all the comments and everything. Hopefully this is not goodbye. I am going to kind of like refigure this out, see what makes sense. My health is, I'm okay. Like my health is good. You know, my health is great. But just with my RA, it's just very, what's the word? It's very unpredictable. So I am trying to schedule to have like episodes on certain days and stuff like that, but I don't know. So we're going to play it by ear, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I will see you when I see you, and feel free to listen to the first 10 episodes, and I hope that this truly, truly touches someone, and I'll see you guys later.